Okay, Chapter 12, Pure Monopoly. This chapter is divided into 7 objectives: the characteristics of a pure monopoly, the barriers to entry that create and protect monopolies, how demand is viewed by a monopolist, price and output determination under monopoly, the economic effects of monopoly, price discrimination, and the regulation of monopolies. A pure monopoly means that there is only one producer of the good with no close substitutes being produced by any other firms. Since the firm is the industry, they have a great deal of control over the price that is charged for their good. Monopolies are created and sustained due to strong entry barriers or barriers to entry, which makes it very difficult for new firms to enter the industry. There is very little non-price competition since there are not any rival firms. However, there may be some non-price competition to increase the demand for the good, such as advertising. Pure monopolies are rare, but many examples of near monopolies exist. Examples of monopoly or near monopolies today include the gas company, electric company, and the cable TV company. Private companies such as Intel, which enjoys 80% of the market for microprocessors, and Wham-O, which has 90% of the market for frisbees, provide examples of near monopolies. Even professional sports teams may enjoy being a monopoly in their respective geographic area. Of course, there is almost always some competition even for these firms. Barriers to entry are factors that prevent firms from entering the industry. Let's look at each of these barriers to entry listed here. Economies of scale constitute one major barrier. This occurs where the lowest unit costs and therefore lowest unit prices for consumers depend on the existence of a small number of large firms, or in the case of a pure monopoly, only one firm. Because a very large firm with a large market share is most efficient, new firms cannot afford to start up in industries with economies of scale. Google and Amazon both enjoy economies of scale in their respective markets. Public utilities are often natural monopolies because they have economies of scale in the extreme case, where one firm is most efficient in satisfying the entire demand. Government usually gives one firm the right to operate a public utility industry in exchange for government regulation of its power. Legal barriers to entry into a monopolistic industry also exist in the form of patents and licenses. Patents grant the inventor the exclusive right to produce or license a product for 20 years. This exclusive right can earn profits for future research, which results in more patents and monopoly profits. Licenses are another form of entry barrier. Radio and TV stations and taxi companies are examples of government granting licenses where only one or a few firms are allowed to offer the service. Ownership or control of essential resources is another barrier to entry. International Nickel Company of Canada, now called Inco, used to control about 90% of the world's nickel reserves, and De Beers, a South African company, controls most of the world's diamond supply. Professional Sports League control player contracts and leases on major city stadiums. Our key point in this part of the presentation is that monopolists may use pricing or other strategic barriers, such as selective price cutting and advertising. So that's our key point. Dentsply, a manufacturer of false teeth, controlled about 70% of the market. In 2005, Dentsply was found to have illegally prevented distributors from carrying competing brands. Microsoft charged higher prices for its Windows operating system to computer manufacturers featuring Netscape Navigator instead of Microsoft's Internet Explorer. US courts ruled this action illegal. A declining long-run average total cost curve over a wide range of output quantities indicates extensive economies of scale. A single monopoly firm can produce, say, 200 units of power at lower cost of $10 each than could two or more firms that could combine to produce output of 200 units.